Hello and welcome to the MotherTongue podcast. I am here today with Megan Jo Wilson, who is an artist, an activist, and a certified coach who's been leading transformational experiences for women for over 20 years. She is a sought out expert in coaching, somatic healing, and facilitation. Megan Jo illuminates internalized systems of oppression to women who are ready to become radical leaders, effective disruptors, and embodied examples of what it is to be truly free as a woman. She is the best-selling author of the books Who the Fuck Am I to Be a Coach and No More Playing Small, as well as a faculty member at the Co-Active Training Institute and a regular co-conspirator with political and feminist icons Marianne Williamson and Regina Thomas Hauer, aka Mama Gina. I think I
Yes,
butchered the last name,
that's
maybe.
okay. It's a tricky one. Thomas shower.
Okay. She lives in coastal Maine, where she loves to read, swim in cold oceans, and play dress up, and has her own podcast called Fuck the Patriarchy. Welcome, Megan. I'm so
Thank
excited to
you.
have this conversation with you.
I am too. We did it. We finally did it.
Yes.
And bios are so strange to read and to hear, but before we dive into questions, this is our first time meeting.
Yes.
And to just say thank you. Thank you for your podcast and for the work you're doing. You're coming in after a birth, yeah? Midwifing a
Yeah.
baby
Yeah.
into the world. You are midwifing women who are in all stages of motherhood. You are midwifing a new world with your work. And I'm just so, so, so grateful for the stand you take for women and
Mm,
moms.
thank you. Thank you for seeing me. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah. So you, like me, you have multiple hats.
Yes.
As an artist, an activist, coach, and author. Where did you start and how did your journey kind of unfold from there?
I'll try to. That's such a big question, right? It's a great question. Uh, I think the the artist part of me feels the most true, core, always present part of my identity.
Mm,
What is an artist? I don't know. I think we're all artists in our own ways, but I was a child who loved to sing and paint and play guitar and write poetry for the kids in my class and make homemade Valentine. It was, I can't speak for all artists, but it's really a form of therapy for me. It's a way of making meaning of a very harsh and confusing world and creating something beautiful out of it. So that feels like the thread that runs through all of my work. Um, I will say I met coaching, this life coaching thing 22 years ago.
wow.
And at that time, as many artists do, I had four jobs, I think, playing in dive bars, singing, working on a farm in the summer, working in a restaurant in the winter, doing odd jobs, making wreaths. And my brother came back from a coach training that his friend recommended and said, "You have to do this training. You can make a living doing this thing that you do naturally, which is listening deeply and encouraging people." I said, "Okay, I trust my brother." And I was totally broke, but I drove my broken down old Honda to Rhode Island and did this 3-day in person training in a hotel conference room. And it was strange, like I didn't feel really connected to a lot of people in the class, but the model, which I still use now and still teach, this coactive model that you mentioned, where I teach coactive, was the start of my coaching career. Like I've been coaching and working with coaches since that time. but I think it was also the seed of my activism in many ways because it's a model that teaches you to be curious about other people's lived experience, to drop assumptions about another person's lived experience, to know that basically advising other people is not effective.
Right.
But if you can have them connect with their own, what I would call spiritual self, highest self, capital S self, if you can find a way to that and create resonance from that place, people will do extraordinary things,
Mm.
especially if they have someone midwifing
Right.
that dream. Because the dream sounds great when it's a fantasy and a vision, right? Just like, I'm going to be a mom, I'm going to have a baby. Then you go into labor and it's like, oh wow, this is harder than I thought it would be.
Right.
I'm going to need someone there saying, you can do this. I got you. It's going to be worth it. Remember why you're doing this. Trust your body. All those things. I'm just making that kind of parallel now, but
Yeah, no, that's a great analogy. Birth is a
yeah.
great analogy for everything in life.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I have so many questions about what you know as a midwife and wish everyone else understood. So yeah, and these days, like since Trump was first elected, that was a real beautiful, I think for a lot of people, just a beautiful wake up call for me, like, oh wow, I knew this country was in trouble, but this is really dangerous. And that sparked the publishing of my books and more training and activism around women's rights, around white supremacy culture, around patriarchy, around all the invisible ways that we are trained to obey.
Yeah.
So that's my very, very short answer. But
Right. Yeah. I know that's a deep question. And
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, they're all really interwoven in such a beautiful way. And I feel so grateful that I'm grateful for that. My
Yeah.
business includes all of those things. My life includes my motherhood includes all of those things.
Yeah. I think that's a great segue into asking you a little bit about your own matrescence and where that fell into play in all of this journey, how it impacted it, and what your experience was.
Well, I love this word. I've been listening to your podcast, of course, matrescence. And is that your word?
No, no. Actually, it would. The funny thing is that it was coined by an anthropologist named Donna Raphael back in the 1970s. And here we are, like 50 years later, and most people have never heard of this word, even birth workers. Like
Right.
it's not a word that most people know. So no, that it can, and she's the same woman that coined the term doula,
Okay.
which has been popularized, but matrescence has not.
Popularized and misunderstood. But doesn't that say it all about patriarchy? Because language is so important. So it makes perfect sense
Yeah.
that most of us haven't heard the term matrescence, meaning well, as my understanding of it, I know you have your own, but my understanding of it is my own um, coming into motherhood, coming into a matriarchal way of being. How would you define it?
Yeah, it really speaks to the transformation of identity that takes
Yeah.
place when we become mothers, and it's very similar to adolescence, right? In terms of like
Yeah.
the root of the word itself. And so we know, like everyone knows adolescence because,
Right.
it's spoken about, it's living word in our language.
Right.
But it's really hard for us to support the process of matrescence when it remains invisible and unnamed.
Invisible, unnamed, misunderstood, and not honored
Supported, yeah, or yeah, not
or
honored, not
rewarded. Right.
supported. Not acknowledged.
unsupported.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I forgot the original question. What is the my
About your
experience?
own matrescence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got pregnant relatively late at 37. And what was very cool about that was I wanted, I didn't want to be pregnant through my 20s. And then I got really clear that I would be pregnant. And, I was like dating guys who would say, like, what do you, the thought of children would come up or something. And I would say, well, I know I'm going to have kids. I know I'm going to be pregnant. And they'd say, like, how do you know? And I'd say, because I know it in my body. I feel my kids. I know my kids are coming. I just know it. I don't know how I know because I'm a woman. So by the time my pregnancy came, I was like really, really ready for it. I was looking at adopting, and then the man I had been dating off and on for a really long time um said that he's like, I'd have a baby with you. And I said, great, let's just try it. Because my OBGYN told me I would never get pregnant. And he told me that I would have a complicated pregnancy. So I probably won't get pregnant anyway. So we ditched the condoms and I conceive that week.
Love it.
So she was ready to come. And I had no complications. I had no problems. I loved being pregnant. I felt amazing. I did a natural childbirth, which was extraordinary, you know, experience with midwives here in Maine. Um, an amazing group of midwives actually that partner with a local hospital. And I think because I had been mentally preparing for it for so long, at first, or I'll just say, I know many women who really lost their sense of self once they had a baby.
Yeah.
That did not occur with me. Like, I kept singing on stage when I was pregnant. I um, continued to do my coaching work and to travel when she was a baby. It was more exhausting, but I kept my art and my coaching and the things that really were important to me did not get lost. And here's what I'll say. Sometimes I'll say to people who are like asking about, friends, not clients, we're like, I don't know if I should have kids. I'll say, like, I'll just say that if you, like I, have high values for solitude, beauty and order, freedom of time, and financial stability, those values are going to be challenged with kids.
Yeah.
And that really continues to be really tricky for me because those are all high values for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm
I
an
mean,
artist. I need
right.
solitude. I need space. I need quiet.
Yeah.
Um, and kids really challenge that. So I think it, in a beautiful way, it had me kind of double down on what's important to me, and certainly has expanded my commitment to being curious about another person and not assuming their lived experience, which I do my very best to do with my own children, even though that's a very tricky thing to do.
Right.
That's what's coming through in this moment.
Yeah.
But
I
there's so much there, right?
There's so much, right? I know. I can identify a lot with that because I was somebody that knew from a very young age what my calling was in life. And then I was a midwife for 7 years before I became a mother.
Wow.
And it was really humbling for me to be on the other side of things. Um, and yeah, I think that I love the way that you phrase that to your friends of like, it will be challenging. Like these things will be challenging rather than being like, then don't have kids. But yeah, finding ways to find our solitude when
Right.
that's something that's needed, it is a real challenge.
Yeah.
Um, and how did you find that becoming a mother impacted your coaching at all?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And I was just going to say, as you were speaking, it's such a double-edged sword of pain because on the one hand, there's the cultural narrative that like, oh, every woman wants to be a mom, right? And that's like the most beautiful thing a woman can do. And then she does it, and there's like so little cultural support for it.
Right.
So you're sort of an outcast if you say, actually, I don't want to have kids. Or if you say, having kids is really hard and exhausting, but then you do it and everyone just thinks, oh, you must love it. It must be so nice for you. Um, Good luck, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's very two-dimensional.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it certainly impacted my coaching in terms, it's impacted it's impacted so much of just the logistics of life, right? It impacted my schedule. It impacted what I was able to offer, what I was able to create. My heart is giant. I'm an Aries. I'm a lover, not a fighter, but and so it expanded my heart a billion times. But she is, I'm so grateful for the kids of her generation. She'll be 13 next month, who just teach us so much. They teach us so much. And I will say for me, I'm not, I'm like in awe of people of any gender who are really good with like 3, 4, 5 year olds. I found that era really, really challenging.
Yeah.
I mean, I find this era challenging, but at least we can talk about it, crack each other up, work through it, converse. At least, they can wash a dish and put themselves.
Right.
It was like that era was just a constant, unpaid, thankless labor of like, I can't even take a shower without someone needing me.
Yeah.
And and ultimately her dad and I, who were still very close, split up. So then I was even kind of in single mom mode. I had other support people, but for the most part, it was all on me.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it still is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my entry into motherhood was as a single mother. And I remember talking to a girlfriend about it in the early breastfeeding days. And she was like, honestly, Karina, like my husband doesn't really do anything in those night, I'm still the one up at night doing everything. And yeah, it is. I really like what you're naming about these cultural ideas and expectations about, yeah, your path in life is to become a mother, and then it's like, all the images you see on social media are like just in love with your baby, loving every minute of it, and then the reality is that it's hard. It's really hard, and it's yes, it's beautiful, and um, you know,
Oh, that's weird. It's on Do Not Disturb. I don't know why that's happening.
anyway, yes, it's
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 my mother
beautiful.
calling me.
Oh, how funny. And then yeah, and then it's like we're supposed to be, there's all these, I could go into a whole thing, but I'm not going to, about the perfect mother myth
Yeah,
and all these expectations, and then but then there's no support. And we were never ever meant to parent in isolation, to mother in
right,
isolation. And so
right.
yeah.
Never ever. And then it does grow us. I mean, I know a little enough about your story to know that it was just profoundly, there's no way that you can birth a child and not be transformed forever, or have a child and or adopt a child, or have a full-time child and not be transformed forever. It's not lightweight
Yeah.
change.
I know, yes, I agree. um so in my own life and in my work with mothers, I really identified with, you said in your bio, or somewhere, I think I saw it on your website actually. My
Mm-hmm.
job is listening to the dreams and terrors of women.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is such powerful work to hold space for what's hard, but also um, nurture and hold space for their visions and their dreams. And so often women, and particularly mothers, get sidetracked, or just have this belief that it's, having aspirations is selfish.
Right.
Yeah. Have you seen that a lot in with the women that you work with, that having to unpack
Of
that?
course. Yeah, of course. I mean, the perfect mother myth, right? Or that having, not even just having a dream is selfish, like going on a walk for half an hour feels selfish.
Yeah.
That's how extreme this subtle or not so subtle frame is for what women are allowed to do or have or get or demand or required to be resourced. And when we're resourced, we're fucking amazing. But most of us aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us
Yeah.
aren't, because there are so many things draining our life for, literally draining our life force. Some of it is, so much of it is like invisible. So, you know, I work with all genders, I will say. And I will say that all genders have dreams and terrors. And there are some commonality. You sit and listen to people for 22 years, and there are patterns, there are themes for any person. That's part of the coaching model. It's like everyone has a dream. Everyone does have a dream. Everyone has dreams, and they change, or desires, they change and shift over time. Everyone wants to contribute. Everyone wants a meaningful, fulfilling life. And everyone has parts of themselves that think, I'm not worthy of this. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I don't know enough. Title of my book: Who the fuck am I to do this? Who am I to do this, to want this, to have this? And the shift to working primarily with women, I will tell you, came from a very specific experience I was having, because I was coaching, I was mentoring, really. After my first book, I was mentoring groups of coaches who wanted to build a profitable coaching practice, because I thought, well, that's a useful way to like counter all this insanity. The more coaches we have out in the world, the better. And I know
Mm-hmm.
how to market and sell. And so I'll teach that and help them find their niche and help them find. So I was working with these groups of men and women, and we would get to the part where it was like, okay, now we know who you're talking to. It's time to go out there and share it with other people and know what you're selling and know how much it costs. And the men would go do it and come back the next week and say, cool, I made $2,000 this week. What's next?
Mm-hmm.
And the women were spiraling. But what was so fascinating is that they couldn't even pinpoint while they didn't even know why they were spiraling. And I didn't really either until I started getting very curious about it. This went on for 2 years. It wasn't like one group. This was like hundreds of people. And I'm
Wow.
sort of generalizing, but not that much.
Yeah.
It wasn't like these women were saying, I'm scared to go show myself in public as an expert, to be seen and heard, and to charge money for that. It would sound more like, oh, I changed my mind about who my ideal client is. And I got really busy. And then, my best friend was moving. So I had to help her. And can you help me again? And I'm thinking about the like colors for my website, maybe the logo. Like, can you help me with that? It was all these creative ways of avoiding the most fundamental conditioning that we're given in this culture, which is like, you it's sort of taken for granted. Not that men don't have insecurities, but it's just like in a patriarchal culture, it's sort of assumed like, of course I can go out and say I'm an expert
Right.
and charge
Yes.
money for it. Well, I don't know, I'll just say I'm really expensive, one man said. I
Yeah.
just say I'm really expensive, right? I said, yeah, okay, great idea. The women were like, oh my God. Now these are women. I was working with trained women who'd been in certified coaches. These weren't women who had read one,
Oh, wow.
right? Certified healers, certified, they did this training, they did that. I mean, certificates, women have more fucking certificates of training.
I'm guilty of it.
I listen, look at my wall. In part because we love to learn, but also we think with this certification, then I'll have the confidence.
Hmm. Yeah.
I need data to prove that I have wisdom to share. Well, I think that you do need some training. It's like you're not going to completely lie about what your expertise is. But if you know a few things more than someone else that could help them, that makes you an expert. Go share it.
Hmm.
So that was when I said, "Oh, there's something really deep here about women being viscerally um and I'm generalizing, right? It's like there's a visceral resistance, or sometimes I mean terror. I've seen women get faint, of being seen and heard,
Yeah.
or of receiving money for that
Yeah.
wisdom.
Yeah. When I was in my feminine power certification training, I remember the facilitator saying that um, men only need to feel like 20% sure about something in order to speak up, whereas women need to feel like 80%, or I don't
Right.
know if those are the exact stats, but it was
Right.
something like that.
Yes. Yeah. I remember hearing that too. And wanting data. It's like we think if we can have, so anyway, if it wasn't about visibility, then it would be about something else. In other words, this all, there are places where all of us have a resistance or like a threshold of comfort. And I don't think, I know most coaching models do not recognize that a lot of those internal critics are given to us from a patriarchal culture.
Yeah.
They are the air that we breathe. And if you don't know how to name it and see it, that culture will always win because you will always think something's wrong with you.
Right.
So, right. So I often say to women, I wrote about this the other day. I had a client in the UK who said, listen, you've changed my life. The only thing I need is this question you've given me. Is it me or is it patriarchy?
Yeah. That's great.
Right? Let's
Yeah.
put the blame where it belongs.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And that's what happens in the sphere of motherhood. So
Right.
it's so strongly, and all the maternal mental illness that's like blamed on individual women,
Thank
and
you.
it's like, no, actually that's a normal response to a culture that's not supporting you.
Right. Well, mental illness is always pathologized the individual instead of
Yeah.
looking at the system.
Yeah.
Why do you think we're all so depressed? Capitalism, patriarchy, white supremacy, ableism, fat phobia, misogyny. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're depressed in general as a species
Mhm.
because the systems we're operating under are brutal.
Yeah.
Well, no, I
And
think this is postpartum depression, but we have a pill for that and we have a support group for that. And you're very, this is hard for you, the individual. So, yeah.
yeah. I we're talking a lot about patriarchy and how it impacts women and mothers and society at large. And I would love to hear you speak about what it means. Like, what's your definition of a woman who is truly free of that?
It's so good. That's what we call in coaching an inquiry, Karina.
That you have to sit with for a while, right? I
I'm gonna
tend to
take
ask
it
those
with
kinds of
I'll
questions.
come up with something now, but like I'm gonna take it with me this month and journal it. And
Yeah.
what is a woman who's truly free? Okay, my first gut reaction is we actually don't even know.
Yeah.
We don't even know. How could you? That's like what I don't know. Are any of us truly free? No, no, we're not. But let's say a woman in a in a culture that doesn't want her to be free, now I'm thinking of one of my heroes, Nina Simone, the great Black
Hmm.
pianist, uh, who said, freedom is no fear.
Uh-huh.
That was her response to that question. I'm just remembering that. Freedom is no fear. Now imagine for a moment if we had a planet full of women who were not afraid.
Yeah.
That would
Wow.
be fear. And I know that, you can't really point to a person that's like, that's patriarchy. It's an invisible system. But the system knows the women who aren't afraid are very, very powerful. They're very dangerous to the system that wants them to stay afraid. So, so I would say she's a woman who, I mean, let's say she's not afraid, but like that's impossible. So let's say she's a woman who does everything 180 degrees away of what the patriarchy wants her to do.
Hmm.
Be afraid, to obey, to ignore her body, to be very good, to be very polite, to be very endlessly generous, to be very selfless. I mean, these are all the things women and mothers are taught. So anytime you go counter to that in any way. I'm like, any little, what we're doing right now, Karina, we're talking about it.
Yeah.
We're talking about it. We're naming it. We're naming it. We're pointing to it. We're saying, I see you. I see you. And I refuse. I refuse. I refuse. That's what you did when you had those kids and you said, "Oh boy, this is changing my entire identity." You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn it into medicine for other moms. Patriarchy doesn't want you to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't connect that with my work until I was at a ketamine clinic, and
Yeah, that will do it.
my therapist recommended, in hearing me talk about my work and stuff, she recommended the book Burnout. Have you read that?
Oh, I haven't read that. I've lived
Oh,
it, but I
so
haven't read it.
good, so good. And that book, it names the patriarchy as the cause, really. And yeah, it really, that was when I changed slightly changed the name of my podcast to what it is now, and really made those connections and saw that, the in my own life and in my own relationships with men, I was working through all that. And that was also, she was like, maybe Motherfly is your way of fucking the patriarchy. And I was like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. One mother at a time,
Yeah.
one woman at a time, one episode at a time in the middle of everything that's happening and with technology not working. It's like, I will do this. Um,
Tell us about the Fuck the Patriarchy, your podcast.
well, the podcast, I resisted doing a podcast forever because I don't know, because I was busy.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time and I know it takes consistency. And I don't know if it's again because I'm an Aries or what, but and I was also working with a really great coach and mentor named Nikki Black, who, we were talking through it, and a lot of people had asked, for years, like, when are you going to do a podcast? When are you going to do a podcast? Oh, you should record that. That's really useful. That would be so good. Oh, I wish you could have recorded this session. It'd be a great podcast for so many people. And I asked her about it because she has a beautiful podcast called Interrupting Everything.
Mm,
Interrupting Racism was the name of her course that I took with a group.
okay.
And then, in any case, we talked about it, and she was like, "Yeah, I think you should do it. You should just do it." So, um, I'm very new in the podcast game. I just did one season at the end of last year, and um, I'm now doing some episodes for the next season and the next season and the next season. So I really believe in living what I teach.
Yeah.
And it's a way to share what I know, knowing that I still have tons to learn, knowing that um, it's imperfect, but believing that if it could illuminate one nugget for one person on one day, then that's worth it. That's great. That's beautiful. And then, there's some practical strategic things around it for business and creating awareness and uh, things like that. But it's essentially, it's interesting because in the conversations I've had with people around patriarchy, like words are so confusing.
Yeah.
But to some people, patriarchy means this. You have like the dictionary definition. To me, I use it as an umbrella term for like, sometimes I just call it like the death machine.
Right.
Death machine.
Yeah.
The death machine. Anything that would destroy planet Earth upon which we rely to live is a self-destructive death machine. But my focus in the podcast, and this is quite broad, but there's many in my description about, I say it's like a many tentacle beast. And there's so many different, like you're holding the tentacle of like motherhood, right? And you're gonna slay that tentacle with everything you got. And my area of focus is primarily around misogyny and white supremacy, or yeah, and capitalism. I can get really riled up about. There are many tentacles to the beast, but the
Yeah.
podcast is a way, is my way, with me with my little sword, and you've got your sword, and we're just like, we're gonna keep stabbing the beast and believing in a more beautiful world.
Yeah. I love that. I love that description of the tentacles and the beast, because it is there. It's so massive that we need different people, all hands on deck to get to these
all
different tentacles.
all hands on deck. And actually, we won't have all hands on deck, but that's okay because we actually don't need every hand. We just need enough hands
Yeah.
to kill it, because there are many, many people, usually without even knowing it, who are protecting the beast.
Right. Right.
Ah!
Well, we do have to wrap up, but do you want to share a little bit about your books before we close, or anything
Yes,
that you want to
sure.
share
I
about?
will just say thank you so much for this time. We could go on forever, and I
Mhm.
can't wait to talk more about you and your work. These books were written, like I said, quite a while ago. They were written for women, they were written for coaches, or I would say anyone who feels called to the field of health, healing, transformation, the kind of thing you do. And they're business books, truly. I mean, they're great, very practical, fundamental questions to look at if you are, again, I wrote it for women, recognizing that this culture is going to make you want to, it's going to make it hard to show up and share your voice and put yourself out there and receive money. So the books were my attempt to support women in doing that and having someone who really saw where they were, because that's where I was for many years. I was a great coach. I just didn't have any business skill, and it was terrible.
Yeah, yeah. No, I hear you. It's just, yeah, that's a whole another skill set. And yeah.
Exactly. So it's who the fuck am I to be a coach? No more playing small. The podcast is rocking. Um, I'm on Instagram all the time ranting about politics and men and women. I just did an episode for men right now, given everything that's going on, because we need our men. We need our men to fight the many tentacle beast.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. I've really enjoyed it, and I look forward to being a guest on your
I
podcast
can't wait. I can't wait. I will circle back and we'll find a time. And again, just so grateful for what you're doing for
Thank
all of
you.
us.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, well, I'll just have to cut off this part. I don't know how to make it because I hit record on her computer, and
Oh, yeah.
but when I go to that same, oh wait. Yeah, it's not letting me stop. But anyway,
It says this meeting is being recorded. Oh, yeah. It says it's being recorded. So that's good.
yeah, no, I just can't get it to stop, I don't think, without ending the meeting.
Right.
But
Okay. Well,
anyway, it was really nice. And yeah, just reach out. We can set up a time. I'm moving into a very busy birth a few weeks, and
Yeah,
then
that's what I
I
was gonna
think
ask.
I'm gonna go up to Minneapolis, I think, and try to help moms that are hiding away in their houses, afraid to go to the hospital to birth because of ICE. And so I'm gonna go up there like for a week in mid-March, but after that I should be.
Oh, I didn't realize you were in, are you in Minnesota?
No, no, I live in Tennessee.
Okay.
But I have a friend, my friend Taina, she lives up there, and she's like, Karina, you need to come up here and deliver babies. I'm like, really? What's going on? She's like, they're just afraid to go to the hospital. So I don't know. I mean, hopefully she can connect me to folks so that I can be of service. But even if I'm just doing some prenatal checkups or postpartum checkups.
That's so
So
beautiful. If I can support with, I don't know, certainly prayers, but
yeah.
if you need money to get there or anything like that, I could rally some
Oh,
fundraising. We have had ice in Maine pretty intensely. It's like been Minneapolis and Maine of all places.
well, that's so weird.
So we've spent, yeah, we're delivering food to people and meds, and
Yeah.
it's gotten a little less. It's not anything like Minneapolis, but it's people afraid to leave their house. Can't go
Yeah.
to work, can't open their business, can't go to
So,
the doctor. So that would be really, really cool. I mean,
yeah.
terrible, but great that you're open to doing that.
Yeah.
So I will send you, what would it be? I'll just send you my calendar link and then
Yeah.
you can pick something that works, and there's really no rush, but I would love, and I think, I could probably even share this, except it was so me focused, and I would love to just like put the focus on you and your work and learn more about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds great.
All
All
right.
right. All right. Be well.
I took a screenshot of us so I can send it to Meenal just to say thank you for introducing us.
Oh, cool. Okay. I was actually, I couldn't remember who introduced us. I
It
thought it
was
was this other.
Meenal.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Cool.
Meenal and I were in the same sisterhood group. That was amazing.
Nice. Yeah. She's really cool.
All right. To be
Oh,
continued.
okay.
Thanks for
Bye.
making it work.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.